Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this game of improv on the Tenacious Time Podcast. And give it up one more time for your host. He's Kopy!
So, when am I getting paid?
Tenacious Time Podcast. It's Tenacious Time Podcast. Oh, grab your friends if you have any and come and have a great time with your host, Ricky Tenacious.
Hello, hi, how are you? And welcome to the 19th episode of the Tenacious Time Podcast. I'm your hostess with the mostest, the longest reigning, most offending, youngest ever Big Valley Wrestling fighting champion, Ricky Tenacious, here for your entertainment once again for the 19th time. My God, I hate my life. Anyway, let's get down to the nitty-gritty, itty-bitty committee, blah, blah, blah. Today we have a really awesome show lined up for you. If you pay attention to my Facebook, which you probably don't because no one really cares about me, you know that today I have, my guest will be the owner of, or creator, or CEO, or guy who hosts and guy who puts a lot of time and money into this thing called Just Serendipity, also known as Jesters. As I've been talking about recently, I volunteer on the weekends now, on Saturdays, to help with the production of a high school improv league called Jesters, or Just Serendipity. We'll go with Jesters, though, so we don't all get confused. It's something that I was a part of when I was a senior in high school. I've actually been involved with improv for quite some time, ever since like 7th grade, but I truly believe I've actually been involved with improv ever since I came out the womb. But that's a totally different podcast, honestly. So, without further ado, let's just go and get right into things. Not because, we're totally pressed for time and someone needs to get out of here at a certain time. But anyways, let's get into that. So, my guest, as I said, he is the creator, owner, and he is the host of Jesters Improv, also known as Just Serendipity, also known as one of the best free improv shows that you can see in Las Vegas. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest, Kopy.
Hello, and thank you. That was quite an introduction.
Yeah, I'm usually pretty good at introductions. Being I am a ring announcer too, so I kind of work on that. Yeah.
Well, you made me sound like I do a lot more things than I actually do.
Oh yeah.
So, sorry that I showed up for your podcast in my pajamas.
Oh, it's all right. I mean, you don't really gotta worry about it. I mean, being this podcast is being done in like the most luxurious of studios. I mean, I walk around here butt naked sometimes, but as I said, that's a totally different podcast. But I can do that because I kind of own the place. I'm pretty rich, but yet I spend my weekends volunteering for an improv show.
Hey man, you got to give back somewhere.
Yeah, you're always worried about where you're going, but you got to remember where you come from.
Yeah. Yeah,
and speaking of all it is you do, that's pretty much what we're going to be talking about today. A topic that I'm sure some of our viewers are hopefully interested in. If if some of my viewers on this episode are from Jesters or know about Jesters or are looking to learn more about Jesters, then hopefully we fulfill your needs. So, Kopy, let's go and get down to the very origins of things. Jesters, also known as Just Serendipity. Tell us in your own words, what is it and how did it start?
High School Jesters is basically a branch off of Just Serendipity. Just Serendipity is something that I created when I was in college, and that was kind of by accident. Initially, I didn't want to create it. I had some friends that knew I had some improv experience and wanted to learn improv, and I was at the time I was playing football for UNLV, and they had set up a time and a place to meet, and I just completely forgot about it, and it was in my college dorm. And I come back from a long day of practice, and it's 10 o'clock at night. I'm in my sweats, with my gym bag, and I'm gross. And I'd been going since 5 o'clock in the morning that morning, and I forgot that I told them we'll meet at 10 in the dorms, blah, blah, blah. So when I walk into my dorm to go shower and go to bed, there's 8 of them sitting there waiting for me, and I'm like, ugh. And then, like, okay, fine. So we did some improv, and then we just kept doing it. And I got to the point where I just started getting aggravated and saying, what are we doing this for? Like, what's the point? and why don't we do something or do a show or anything? So I did a show in the dorms at the college. It was the very first official Just Serendipity show, and then it turned out okay. It wasn't the worst show ever.
Did people actually show up for it?
People showed up. They knocked on people's doors in the dorm, and they gathered a bunch of chairs in the study rooms, and they got maybe 35 people to come to the show.
That's impressive.
Yeah, and we did it, and it wasn't the worst thing ever. And then the next day, I got a call from one of the admin whatever at UNLV saying, "Hey, I heard you do improv. Can you come do a show?" And I went, "What? Like, are you kidding me?" And then that's kind of how the first couple of years went. It just kept happening. And that's kind of where the name Serendipity comes from, is just the whole initial process was just this weird circumstance and happenstance, and it branched from there. High School Jesters is basically just branching off of the name Jest Serendipity. So
okay. I just totally have to say, when you said they heard you have some improv experience, I can totally imagine. Hey, hey, Kopy, you know how to do improv? Yeah, I've done improv for a while, and it turns out you just watched one episode of Whose Line Is It Anyway? That's your experience.
That would be a funnier story.
Yeah.
No, I started taking classes initially in high school with comedy sports.
Okay.
And comedy sports, I don't know if it's necessarily the most recognized, but it's at least the largest improv comedy club in the country. And now, actually, no, they're in other countries too. I started out in Milwaukee. Milwaukee is where comedy sports started. So in Milwaukee, comedy sports is a pretty big, decent deal.
Yeah.
Not exactly sure how it is in every city that it's in, but I know at least Milwaukee it is. So that's where I started. And I didn't think I was going to do anything with it. I just did it. And in high school, I thought I was going to be a professional football player.
Yeah.
And here I am in my pajamas in your studio.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Did you pass by the Starbucks when you came in here?
All of them. All of the Starbucks.
Yeah, all 8 of them.
Yes.
8 going on 9, because I love Starbucks in my luxurious studio. So speaking of that, before we get into kind of some sub-questions, you said this started kind of during your whole football thing. So does that mean, did the whole improv thing kind of interfere with football? Did you end up finishing?
No.
Did you get injured? How'd that work out?
No, football represents a big part of my life that I think was more of a sculpting and growing part of my life. It was a goal of mine, but I think it was a goal of mine because of the way life was for me. I was diagnosed with a brain tumor when I was in 8th grade, and I went through that whole ordeal, and then football became harder. It became harder. It became a goal that I wasn't supposed to achieve. Yeah. And, of course, you tell a kid they can't do something, what do they want to do?
They're going to do it, yeah.
So, at the time, before I was even diagnosed, I wanted to be in the NFL. That was my thought. But now it's just, okay, brain tumor, cool. Let's go through this, and let's go back out there and play. You know, everyone's, looking at you crazy. So, that's what I did. That's actually why I came out to UNLV, was because college football, the next step is the NFL.
Yeah.
And I got online, I did some research, and I was looking for the worst college football team in the country.
Oh.
That's what I was looking for. And UNLV was ranked 123rd out of 126 or something like that. And the couple of schools that were lower, really small market, never even heard of these towns. And I was like, Vegas, I've heard of that. All right, let's try it. So I came out here, I walked on, I tried out. I was one of 2 that actually made it out of however many people were actually there that day. And that was cool. But while I was playing for UNLV, my heart changed. It was, I felt like the goal that I set out to accomplish was, I fulfilled that goal, even though I didn't make it to the NFL. So I stopped playing football under my own power. Improv was just a subplot to my personal story, that was just happening in conjunction with all of this. So I didn't know that improv was going to become my life.
Yeah.
When I first started back in high school.
definitely sounds that way. So when you started this whole improv thing during college, before we get into the high school Jesters part of it, tell us about how Just Serendipity first was, like with I guess you could say the adults playing improv, like how that kind of all worked out, and then kind of work your way into what led you want to do it with high schools, you know.
Well, the very first year was those 8 friends I speak of, and those 8 friends obviously are no longer with Just Serendipity. They're all over the country. You know what? Actually, yes, all of them have moved, and none of them are in Vegas anymore. Year 2 was the first year that still has a link to anything that's us. School teachers, friends, whatnot, old students. And since that year, we still have a couple links to that. The first 3-4 years were really small and just trying to figure out what to do and how to do it. Shows were literally thrown together where you try and make it happen, kind of like backyard kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Until UNLV opened their new student union. Which is a pretty nice
Yeah,
little union.
I've seen it. It's pretty good.
And they asked us to open the union at their big celebration party. So we put on a show, and this was before we even really had like a Just Serendipity name, logo kind of thing. So we opened that union, and we ended up doing weekly shows. That's kind of what it grew into, weekly shows and themed shows, and just kind of creating a bunch of trial and error. But we were able to, for some of these shows, we were able to get a couple hundred people in there, and it was pretty cool. From there, it branched out into opportunities outside of UNLV. We got a small little residency at the Plaza downtown, and then it just kept growing. I had to start splitting and creating different facets of Just Serendipity, and we created what I called a main stage. We had a main stage cast where it was just kind of the better performers.
Yeah. And
then they were the ones that went out and started doing more. Then from there, heck, it turned into the party comedy show. It's turned into we branched a name called Strip Comedy at one point, where we were at the Palms and we were at Planet Hollywood, and we were kind of all over. So I'm kind of giving you a lot of years in a couple of sentences.
It's all right.
But that's kind of where it went. Jesters fit in there. 2009 is when Jesters finally kind of came up, and that was something that meant something to me, because I feel like, as much as I love being on stage, I feel like I get something more out of teaching, and I think that's what kept me in that dorm that very first day, and kept me awake, even though I was gross and I did not want to sit there and do improv with my friends. It just teaching, helping, and watching people grow. So when the idea of creating Jesters came up, I was all about it. So yeah, Jesters, I'm not sure, I honestly don't remember where in the timeline we were. You know what? We had just finished at the Plaza, our little run at the Plaza, and then it was, let's keep growing, let's keep doing more.
Yeah.
And here we are, 8 years later, and I'm in your studio.
Well, sounds pretty successful to me. I don't know about you, but I mean, when you end up in this studio, things are pretty great.
I've never been in a studio that has its own china cabinet in it.
Uh-huh.
Fancy it.
Oh, yes, very expensive stuff. Don't touch it.
I wouldn't.
Okay, good.
I know better.
Good. Or I'll call security.
Okay.
By security, I mean you'll have about 6 minutes of time to get out of here, because I don't know why when I hired security, but I decided to put them on the very first floor of this building, of this 12-story building, and so they have to and we don't have elevators here. We actually just you just go upstairs, and I don't know.
I got off on the wrong floor. It took me about an hour to get up here.
Yeah, it's pretty natural. Anyway, so obviously, I have some experience, especially with wrestling and just a few other side projects I've done. I've done shows in my living room, and I've done shows in my backyard, and I know putting together those shows is so hard, and it takes a lot of organization, a lot of dedication, and you end up wearing a lot of hats, because sometimes if you want things done, the right way, you got to do them yourself. And so tell me, what are some obstacles that you've come across putting together just any Just Serendipity show? Like, what are some main obstacles that you always come up against?
Man, okay. Well, just the simple formula of you have a show. Well, to be able to put on that show, you need the actual show to be a show.
Yeah.
You need whoever's a part of it to be there. That's important. Simple communication. That's important. Anyone who's ever say what I'm not a fan of this word, but anyone that's ever been a part of a troupe before, an improv troupe, and they understand that problem of, oh, gotta work, oh, I didn't tell you that I had to work, oh, sorry, oh, the show's in an hour, oh yeah, I could have told you yesterday, but I didn't, sorry, I have to work, good luck.
Yeah.
Like just that kind of thing. That's a normal traditional obstacle. Have I been through a ton of them? Yes. A couple that I like thinking of is we do a lot of work with the American Cancer Society, and we have done a lot of Relay for Lives. And Relay for Life, basically, it's an all-night walkathon for just to get people out there walking, raising money for the American Cancer Society.
Yeah.
So one particular one at UNLV many years ago, we were performing in the middle of the night, and the point of performing in the middle of the night was to help the people keep walking in the middle of the night. It was 3-4 in the morning. We were performing. They had a stage with sound. It was awesome. It was outside the football field. At one point, there was a noise complaint, and the police came in the middle of our show to this charity event. And the police went up to the soundboard to kill the sound.
Wow.
But my sound tech at the time kept playing dumb, and they would find a way to turn it off, and he would just turn it back on, and he would just levers, and he'd turn it back on. So even though the cops were there, he kept turning the volume on while we were doing the show, just to keep the show going. And we got our hands slapped, but whatever. Yeah. We were out there for charity. Like, give it up, people. Like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I've had a lot of things, a lot of issues.
Yeah. And then with the high school Jesters in particular, being that deals with, kids at actual high schools, and I know this year is the biggest year for Jesters, as I know, of 24 schools. That's a lot of kids to deal with.
24 schools, over 400 students. It's yeah. Well, Jesters has changed a lot. Jesters used to be a private program that students would have to go to, so that was different. You had to pay in to get into it. All the schools went and basically learned from, say, me and whatever coaches I had that were with me at the time. And then that was it. So then it grew into the schools to the way it is now. So now it's all separated at the schools. My biggest problem, I think, Jesters-wise, has been exposure.
Yeah.
And personalities. I really would say, if you were to ask me a personal question like, Kopy, tell me something about you that's uniquely you, and I would tell you that I think I'm the most selfless person in the world, which is 1,000,000% true. I would rather stand on stage as the host because I feel as the host I'm helping a show, but I'm not the focal point of the show. It's you guys that are up there. Yeah. And I know that I can do my job well as the host to help the rest of the show succeed. Yeah. And that's me. So now I see it with 400 students, and that number will grow, and I know it's growing. We're already in the growing process. To me, I can help these 400 grow, and this city grow, and the 24 schools grow. That's a beautiful thing.
Oh, very beautiful. Especially anything that grows is kind of like a flower,
right?
And then you're just waiting for the day you can fully see it blossom in the sun.
Yeah, and I think what's been cool about Jesters is I've had a number of moments where I've been able to just live in that moment for a moment and just let it be real and appreciate it. it's been very cool. I think Jesters alone, if I separate the Just Serendipity stuff I've been talking about, Jesters alone, it's been such a fulfilling, mountain to climb.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the never-ending mountain.
So being it deals with schools, and you definitely have to go to those schools, and you have to recruit students, and or just try to just to let them know Jesters is a thing. Have you ever run into certain questions with certain problems with the school districts?
Yeah, not as much the district. Honestly, one of the hurdles I have is the actual staff or the teachers.
Yeah.
Some schools, literally, I can walk into and Kopy, hey, high fives, and it's like I had a janitor know me that I didn't know. Like, I was just at a school waiting, and janitor's like, Kopy, and I'm, and he's literally got his bucket and like the holding his broom handle. Like, I'm not kidding, and he knew who I was. I was like, oh, and the only thing I could figure out was he was there like cleaning one day when I was there with their students, and that's all I could figure out. So I've got schools like that, and then I've got schools that, man, just the personality of this is the way we do things, or no, or whatever. And honestly, I even have a couple of teachers that just won't give me the time of day. I have students that call me and parents that call me from a school saying, I want to do this, but apparently you're not at my school. And then I try and bridge a gap and include the teachers or the administration or whatever from that school, and it just doesn't matter. And a lot of those students lose out. And that's probably the thing that weighs on me the most, is I've really done everything I can to try and be there for absolutely everybody. And all the schools that are there, that are here now, these 24 schools know that. Everything's going pretty beautifully with these 24. But there's just a handful that just, man, won't open their door. Yeah. And it really stinks for those students. In time, I think that I'm in process. I'm in a really good place to where that won't be an issue. But it's just taking time.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
It's always the students that go, man, I graduated and this would have been so cool. And those students are missing out right now, but future students will hopefully benefit.
So let's get a little more in depth with the whole role as creator, owner, and host as Jesters Improv. Go and take us through for those who haven't really ever been to an improv show, which you can do this coming Saturday at
Cimarron High School.
Cimarron High School from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Yep, shows all day. It's absolutely free. It's a really good time. I'll be there. Well, actually, I won't be at this one, because this Saturday is BVW. But if you're not a big fan of wrestling, then you should totally go see Jesters. Okay, or actually, you could actually do both, because BVW starts at 4 p.m. So you can literally go to like every show from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then just head on over to BVW.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can do both.
Hey,
both.
Make a note on this. I want to talk about an improv wrestling comparison.
Okay, I will.
Make a note.
Totally will.
Yeah. But wherever we were, you can literally hear you writing. And I can read most of what you wrote. That was impressive.
So as I was saying, yeah. So take us through a day of doing the improv shows. Like, what is it like from the moment you wake up to the moment you come home? Tell us about that.
Oh, well, the day is a very turnkey day where there's no margin for error. There's no time for issues. The day has to be set, planned, and prepared well in advance for the day to be successful. The day is kind of like a swim meet where if you've never done swimming before, all the schools that are performing go to one school to perform. So rather than just go, Cimarron's not just going to be Cimarron High School and one other school. It's going to be all 20 whatever schools at one school. I'm normally up about 4 a.m. I gotta take everything that I needed for that particular day. I get to the school no later than 6:30 or 7, which only leaves us an hour to an hour and a half of actual prep the stage time. Mm-hmm. But I have my staff, including you, and everyone there to set all that up, and then at 8 o'clock sharp, we're starting.
Yeah.
The schools, their call times are a half hour before each show, so that means the 8 a.m. show is there by 7:30. They're backstage with the stage manager getting prepped for their show. A lot of times I don't even get to see or talk to them until 8 o'clock.
Yeah, until like right before the show starts, which I have seen. You just come through the curtain. All right, we're all good to go. All right, here we go, guys.
Yep.
Don't even get to know your name. Just go.
That's exactly how it works. The stage manager's job is insanely important because stage managers basically doing everything backstage to prep them for the next show. You could say theoretically that me as the host of all of these shows is mildly not important, to where, say, the stage manager backstage, without her, like, that show doesn't happen. That show will absolutely be a mess. And not only just that show, the 9 shows that follow it will be even more of a mess, because you chain reaction one show, the rest are going to suffer.
That's terrible.
So she gets them prepped and ready for the 8 a.m. show. I take them out on stage. And then I turn around at 8:59. I walk through the curtain when that show ends. Stage manager's there, gives me the lineup. Kids are ready. You guys ready? Cool, let's go. I turn around and go back out.
Yep.
And that's
give Austin the high signal.
I give Austin the signal, and we go. Austin, our sound guy.
Yes.
And then
love him.
And that's it. It's for me. It's just 10 hours of that process. Stage managers backstage all day doing that with all 10 of the shows, all of the schools. Austin's back in the booth all day, running everything, lights, sound, everything. Billy, the camera people are running around doing everything all day. It's just a never-ending process. So students come for their show. Their show is 60 minutes, but they can stay as long as they want. They can do whatever. So just so many people come in and out throughout the day. The past 2 weeks, this have been the first 2 weeks of this season. There are shows during the day that have a smaller crowd and shows that are bigger, but it just changes. The show goes on. So I think this week there's one show where there was like only 10 people in the crowd.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, by the midway point of that show, now there's 40 people in the crowd. It's just up and down all day.
But I mean, at least there's people in the audience, for the kids to work off of.
Right, 100%. 10 is fine.
Yeah.
If you know anything about improv, you can rock 10.
Yeah.
So you might even be at a point in your life where 10 is like an accomplishment. Like,
yeah, so. Definitely. Yeah, I definitely know that feeling. So before we get into our sweet, saucy, spicy segments of the show, let's get into one more question here, and that is, what makes you so passionate about improv? I mean, I as I said earlier, I've been involved with improv for a while. It's my favorite form of theater. Because not just it's weird because it's a type of theater that's unintentionally funny, but it's so funny, and that's why people love it so much. And you can really do just about whatever you want, and it's really opened up a lot of opportunities to entertain people, which is one of my favorite things to do, is entertain people and be able to perform. And so obviously, what is it about improv that has really dragged you and your life into it, and been able to put all your time and effort into Jesters for the past 9-10 years now? Yeah.
Well, just because Serendipity's been around longer, for me, improv's been a much longer fraction of my life. But Jesters this might be the 8th year, but it's definitely been longer. It took a lot to put into motion. That's 2 answers for me. One has to stem back to football a little bit. I don't think that I was so passionate about football because...
What is it about improv that makes you so passionate about it?
It's two-part for me. Part of it stems back to football. I think in football, I didn't want to be in the NFL, because I thought I was the best player. I don't think I was the best player at all. I think that I got a satisfaction out of figuring out how to work together with a group of people and get the best desired result out of that working together. And that was always my drive. So it ended up going from playing to coaching, and I feel like I got more out of coaching than I did playing. And then when improv started to increase in my life, that's the exact same thing. I got more out of teaching and coaching than I think I do performing. And that's me personally. that my passion lies in seeing what a group of people can get out of a moment. Not just a moment, but what that moment does for their life. And improv is such a unique skill set to learn and add to your life. It does so much more for you than just make you a better performer. I know that's what improv was intended to do, but I've always kind of cheated the improv ideals anyway. To me, improv is life-changing, and if I could have figured out at one point during football that football could be life-changing, then maybe I would have stuck with it. But improv is truly life-changing. But I don't know if I would have learned that if I didn't have football. So what I've been able to do for people is what keeps me in it. And I will lose sleep and money out of my pocket just to keep that opportunity alive for people.
Yeah,
So,
I totally get that, and that's kind of how I feel about improv too. Why I'm so into it is, I mean, I've always been, into performing and entertaining, which is why I consider myself a theater kid. But I think with improv, especially with what you're doing, just to reiterate like how good it is what you're doing, like a lot of people don't realize just how much it means to someone to get that opportunity to go on stage. Mm-hmm. And especially with improv, where you can do anything, and like you can, to make someone laugh, you can do that multiple times in a show. Like this is like their self-esteem bar, and it's just going up. Improv can really help them a lot. And even for the kids that maybe not be super good at it, or maybe as good as someone else, like just the fact that they're able to go on stage and entertain people and be a part of a show is really important to them. It really makes a big difference to them. And especially when it comes to, a championship, and I mean, win or lose, like it's all about fun. Everyone has fun. But it's
that isolated moment of yes and improv rules and rhetoric, it just, to me, it's not the bigger picture. You in a moment in a show where you have a denial in a game, or you don't do something right, that's not the point. The point is what you gain from the whole experience. One critique I've had over the years for Jesters is, why do you only have 4 competing for each team? Why not have the whole team up there? Or let the team rotate or something, because all these teams are way bigger than 4 students. Mm-hmm. Part of it is because to have a full show where you are the focal point, to where you get introduced, you get your name called, and you get to run through a curtain, and you get to feel what that feels like for that entire show. And then you get your picture posted online, and then you get to be something important for that moment. That moment is more important than just being able to learn what yes and is, and just being able to build a character in a scene. Being able to build a character and yes-anding, that is a part of improv, and that's what we are teaching. But the whole overall picture is so much bigger than that. That's what drives me, man. That's what keeps me going. And I see that, and I know that, and I have so many experiences in that, to where there are students that literally have done one show, and because of whatever reason, maybe they didn't, but they probably remember that show.
Oh yeah.
So that's what sticks with me.
Yeah, that's really awesome, Kopy. And I think I've talked about this before on my podcast. I'm going to school right now to become a teacher, and so that's one of the driving factors for me to try to become a teacher. Is not just, and I'm also trying to become a theater teacher, but I think just teaching in general, or being involved in that environment with all those kids, like watching 1 or 20 students or all of your students grow is a really rewarding experience. And it's kind of the same thing, being as for when I've heard that teaching or the education system doesn't pay the best, but it maybe not in money, but in how you see your students grow.
Yeah.
And just that experience, it's very rewarding and heartwarming, I'm sure. And oh my God,
I could give you stories for days about particular students or cool stories. I could even give you bad stories, and in the end, all of the stories still equal out, and they still bring you to this point of things that are so life-changing for everyone. High school is such a weird time too, because you're trying to figure out life a little bit, you're trying to figure out yourself. And nowadays, especially, I think high school age isn't as young as we thought it was. I think high school age students nowadays are a little bit more on their feet than I think maybe it was back in my time. There's a lot more knowledge. There's a lot more exposure to life, and now we're looking at younger people and expecting more of them. So I love what it's come to. I think one of the things that I think of the most, and I don't know if this will ever change. I've had a lot of students say with disabilities and whatnot that have come through over the years. Another beautiful thing about this league is guys and girls can perform together. It's co-ed. Students with disabilities can perform. Like, things that would never happen in a normal competition get to happen here. I had a parent call me and say that my daughter had an accident and she has a cognitive brain disorder now, to where she freezes and she can't form complete sentences. She wants to say things, they're there, but her brain stops her from completing sentences. Asked if improv would help, and I'm not a doctor. Like, I don't know, but I said, give me a chance. Like, let me try. Like, improv sounds like something that could actually happen.
Definitely.
And at first, it was a battle. Like, she really struggled, and it was tough for her. But it got to a point to where she could complete some sentences, and she could actually be a part of her team. And at one point during that season, she got in another accident. She hurt her feet, ended up in a wheelchair for the rest of the season. If you go back and look at pictures and you see someone in a wheelchair, it's her. Not only did she have the mental problem with being able to talk, she had the problem with her feet. And it was such a rewarding thing by the end of the year to see what she did. Her team made it to the championship that year.
Wow, that's amazing.
And what I was able to do to help her fills my heart in such a weird way. But I have hundreds of her. Like, I have so many of those, and that's what keeps me in it, man. That's why I'm here.
That's awesome.
So
please stay.
Okay.
Please stay.
I suppose.
Yes. All right, so let's get into these segments, because we're going to keep talking. We've had a pretty good conversation, but a podcast is still a show, and a show has segments, and so we got to get down to some good stuff.
I have to yes and you mean?
Pretty much.
Got it.
So first segment, this is the 60-second challenge. It's not really a challenge, it's something you have to do with 60 seconds of time. Today's topic is how many careers and jobs can you list? Careers, jobs can be the same thing. It's just be a job you can have, a job you can get paid for. You have 60 seconds.
For me personally?
No, just
anyone.
Yeah, you just as many as you can name.
Okay.
You have 60 seconds to name as many as you can.
Sure.
No reward.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. And go.
NASA scientist, postal worker, coffee grinder person at a coffee place, Statue of Liberty shoe cleaner, Elvis impersonator, Manny Pacquiao, a hamster wrangler, musician, a video editor, a podcast host runner,
Heyo.
A person who works out and shows off their working out skills. There's probably a technical name for that. Technical name givers. Those are like copyright people.
20 seconds.
Professional bride. A bottle distributor. A candy machine stalker. A gas mask wearer. Typically a soldier. A moon liver.
And that's time.
Thanks.
Okay. Well, yeah, you got 17, which I mean is pretty
that
good.
A lot?
Yeah, especially with the 60-second challenge. Most people have to cheat to answer all of those, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
If I wasn't trying to be creative, I think I would have come up with more.
Yeah. That's awesome. It's all right though. That's why it's a challenge. It's not really a challenge. All right, I don't mean to sound very rushful or anything like that, but it takes a lot of money to do for all this time on the podcast, and time is money. So let's just get things rolling around. This is another segment called Random Questions, where I'm just going to answer a series of I'm going to blah blah blah. I'm gonna I'm going to question you. I'm going to give you a bunch of random questions. They're all yes or no answers. Some of them maybe a little bit more. Okay. And I guess the point of it is to try to throw you off. So let's see how that works out for you, Kopy. Good. All right, here we go. Do you like ice cream?
Yes.
Do you like cream cheese?
Sometimes.
Do you like cheese puffs?
No.
Do you like Puff Daddy?
Do
you like to be called Puff Daddy? Have you ever seen the movie Daddy Daycare?
Yes.
Do you care about animals?
Yes.
Do animals care about you?
There have been a few.
Do you like Tony the Tiger?
We don't get along.
Does Tony the Tiger like you?
I answered that.
Are the allegations presented against you concerning the domestic violence case between you and Kellogg's Frosted Flakes mascot, Tony the Tiger, true?
I'm not allowed to talk about it.
True or false?
True.
False or true?
Neither.
If you ordered a large pizza and you chose how many slices you cut the large pizza into, would you cut it into 8 slices or 12?
Definitely 17.
Wow, okay. Muffins.
Yes.
All right, that's all the questions.
Okay.
I cracked myself up from how stupid those questions are. Who writes this stuff, really?
Yeah.
Who listens to this? That's my question. Who listens to all of this?
Yeah, Tony the Tiger, apparently. Today's sponsor, folks.
Kellogg's.
Yeah.
They're great. Oh, man. Okay. So here's a more improv-friendly game we have that I played for the first time on my last episode with Taylor Johnson. This segment is called Podcast Promo, where we have a little cup of character suggestions here. You will choose 2 of them, and then you can choose one of them you choose one of them that of the 2 you chose, and you cut an improvised wrestling promo on that personality. It can be a celebrity, somebody you know, somebody just a general everyone knows. So go ahead and pick 2, and best of luck to you.
Okay, picking 2.
All right.
Whoop, I guess those are the 2.
All right, let's see how that works.
Do I have to read them aloud?
Yes.
Okay. Kopy's evil twin cousin who has hair. Or Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse if they were a tag team. Let's go with my evil twin cousin who has hair.
All right, sounds good.
So I'm going to cut a wrestling promo as this evil twin cousin.
No, you're actually cutting a promo on that evil twin cousin.
Oh, as if I'm going to compete against him.
That's why it's a promo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Just try to figure it out. Okay, so I'm going to cut a promo against my evil twin who has hair.
All right, and here we go. Okay, you are on a live episode of Raw, being promoted for this match against Kopy and his evil twin brother, Mopey, who has hair. Okay, and here we go, everybody.
Mopey, Mopey, Mopey. Boy, did you get the easier name. You got the easier everything, didn't you? The easier lifestyle. The things you don't have to explain. Do you know what it's like to tell people that your name is Kopy and they look at you and think Kobe, and then you have to explain that you are actually not, in fact, Kobe Bryant? Do you know what that's like? No, because your name is Mopey. It is implied. It is a fact. It is science that you have got the easier way. Not to mention, you get to roll out of bed and look at your hair and know that you are the one that was blessed. Blessed until now. Blessed until the one person that can actually stand up to you and call you out for what you really are could actually take something away from you. You may be 6 minutes older than me, but I'm going to use all 6 follicles that I have to tear you limb from limb, evil Mopey. Or my name isn't Kobe Bryant. Just bring it. I don't know.
That was great.
Okay.
That was fantastic.
Thanks.
I want to watch this match now.
Okay. I don't know if I have 6 follicles. That was a guess.
That was great. I could totally imagine, like, we just find people, just some bald people, and put a wig on them, and have them show up to an improv show. It's me, Kopy, your evil twin brother with hair, Moby. No, not Moby.
I have a friend that calls me Dopey. So, yeah, nonetheless.
Oh no, look, it's our cousin, Dopey. And just all of these reincarnations of Kopy show up.
Isn't that like the old doink thing with the midget wrestler?
Basically.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh man, that was funny. Okay, so next segment we have.
Oh no.
I know, another segment.
Okay.
What did you get yourself into this morning? So this one will involve both of us. It will be definitely very improv oriented. This is a segment called Date Night, where me and you will choose characters from a hat.
And we need to have times to go on dates.
Yeah.
This is going to be tough for me.
Yeah. So we are going to choose 2 random characters, or character suggestions, you could say, and we're going to go on a date as those characters. So you can go and pick first. Just pick one. Just pick one. Just pick one. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so go and tell us what you picked.
So this is me. This is what I have to do.
Yep.
Someone who turns into a news reporter everywhere I go.
All right.
Okay.
All right, and then mine is someone who can't get over their past relationship.
Boy, this is going to go great. So me and you are going to go on a date, and I'm this and you're that.
Okay, so who asked who?
I don't know. We'll improv it.
All right.
You tell me when to start.
All right, so, all right, this is, wait, where are we going to go on a date?
The dinner, of course.
All right, the dinner?
Yeah.
The famous restaurant called The Dinner?
Yeah.
I'm with it. I love it. Okay, here we go. This is me and Kopy's date, between Kopy as someone who is a news reporter everywhere he goes, and me as someone who can't get over their past relationship.
Okay.
All right, and here we go.
Wow, Monica. Wow, I recognized you from your profile picture.
Oh, you did? You recognized me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you think I was pretty?
Well, I mean, of course.
Do you think I'm cute?
I do.
Do you see the fantastic personality traits that I have?
I do.
You know who didn't? Carl! Carl didn't see that.
Tell me more about Carl.
Well, he's tall, he's blonde, and he's a big stupid doo-doo face who doesn't know when he has something good in his life. I was that good thing.
Do you think this doo-doo face could wreak more havoc on the rest of the city?
Oh, definitely. Lots of havoc. He's just gonna take the city out on nice dates, put him in a nice house, tell him that he loves him, and then he's gonna take it and crumple it up like a sheet of paper that you got a bad grade on, and you just throw it away so no one else sees it.
Wow. Thank you for that information. How about more on that after the break?
Okay.
Monica, you're doing great. Okay. I'm a little rushed for time here. I'd love for this date to go as good as it can. So if you could order food right away, that would be great. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. We're back. So if you could maybe tell me a little bit more about you, because you are what I want to get to know, and you are what I believe all the viewers want to get to know. So tell me something about you. Enough about Carl. I want to know how good you were so that we can paint Carl into the worst picture we can.
Oh, that sounds like a fantastic evening I'd love to be a part of. For one, something about me is that I really enjoy pasta. I would love some pasta right now on this fabulous dinner with you, Mr.
Mister's fine. So pasta. And anything else that you could tell us about yourself?
I was in Philadelphia. I was born and raised. On the playground is where I spend most of my days, actually.
This explains a lot about your issues with Carl.
it would. It actually would. I attended the University of Philadelphia. It's just one university. We all just go there. And I graduated with a degree in education because I'm teaching people about how great I truly am.
Wow, Monica, you know what? I want to be the first to say thank you. Thank you for meeting me here. Thank you. This has gone amazing. I'd like to do this again, possibly tomorrow night, at the Bunkhouse, which is a fine establishment. But we're going to learn a little bit more about what happened to you. Tune in tomorrow, everyone. We will see you at the Bunkhouse. Monica, will you let me go on a second date with you?
Yeah. Sure. If it's to the Bunkhouse, then I just should have you know that the last time I was at the Bunkhouse was with Carl!
It's exactly why we need to retrace those steps. Tune in tomorrow, everyone.
And that's that. All right. Well, that worked out fairly well, I think. It's been a while since I've done improv with Kopy. Oh, that was a gross sound. That's me drinking my Starbucks coffee. Here is a prolonged time of me drinking coffee, everybody.
Is that another segment?
It can be. Oh, that was terrible. Okay, so... Oh man, it has been that was probably the weirdest 10 minutes of segment time I've ever had in my life. But that's what improv does for us, and that's okay. That's why we're here, everybody. So it has been a very informational time about Jesters. I've really enjoyed this sit down with you, and thank you very much for coming on my podcast. But it has come to that time of the show where we come to the golden question, the question that I ask every guest that comes onto this show, pertaining to this career of being involved in Jesters. As you said earlier, you have many stories, so this will call for some of those stories. The question is, what has been a really good day on the job as the creator of Jesters, and what has been a really bad day on the job as the host creator of Jesters? Your involvement in Jesters. What's been a really good day? What's been a really bad day that you can recall?
Good days. I think my gut reaction, my knee-jerk reaction to good day is championship day. It's kind of the day where everything that I've worked on kind of shows light. Where yes, it is about yes and it is about improv and playing games right and whatnot. But it's a day where an entire year comes together and everything is at its highest, happiest moments. And so many beautiful things come out of that day, top to bottom. It is an emotionally taxing day for me. Because for me, I'm kind of on autopilot all year, just preparing to get to that kind of day. And that particular day is what keeps people coming back and keeps it growing. And just about every championship day has been that. I'm a bubbling mess, and you probably will catch me crying on every championship day.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yep. So I mean, I could probably pinpoint a lot of other really good days, but you can't beat that. That is our Super Bowl. It's really cool. Bad day. I think the days that weigh on me the most, bad days, is when I have a student I can't help. Is when I have a teacher or someone that won't return an email, a phone call, or refuse to do anything for whatever the reason. I have no idea the reason in some cases, because they won't even open that line of communication. So a bad day is when I have to tell a student that I'm sorry, I can't help you. Those are bad days for me, and they happen far too often. So I'm trying to make it as simple as possible to where those days don't have to happen. But those are bad days for me. So
Yeah. I'm not saying your answer is bad. It's very informational and it's very great. But can you recall like specific days on the job that you can say that this was like a really good day, or like a day on the job that you say this was a really bad day, or would you say that your answer you just gave would kind of pertain to that in like just a general sense?
Yeah, I think I was highlighting specific moments in a general term.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted a really specific answer, I mean, I could get down to the nitty-gritty for you.
Oh, why not?
Okay. Little Tirza. If you know Jesters, you may have grown to know Little Tirza. Little Tirza, I watched last year on her very first day of improv practice be dragged in by a friend who actually I taught before, who I knew, but I didn't know Tirza. And the friend was also pretty shy for the most part. Dragged Tirza in. Tirza didn't even know what she was going to. And Tirza realized it was something to do with performing and getting out of her social anxiety bubble. She freaked out, literally cried in front of everybody, and was dragged in. And I noticed that and I recognized that. And the last thing I ever want to do is put someone in a bad, uncomfortable place. Anyway, I treated that moment pretty delicately, and I didn't do anything overly pushy, whatnot. But to me, I see a bigger picture to where Tirza had no idea. And then I watched Tirza as the year went on, and I helped put her in a show, the very first show of the season, which freaked her out. I put her through a process that I believed would be good for her personally. And then it got to the point to where her team almost made it to the Final Four last year. And she was a huge part of that reason to why she almost got there. And it was a hands down no-brainer to award her last year as the most improved, because she went from that to almost making it to the Final Four with her team in one season. She did that. From getting to know her, she never wanted to talk to people. She couldn't talk to people. The story that you can read and watch on the internet is her talking about how she couldn't even order food. Like, she'd always have to have people do things for her because she was that scared of everything. Now she can get on stage and it's like, oh my God, this girl was scared of anything. But no, she's not. She can do it. And almost, in a way, I almost feel like a proud papa to be able to help her in that way. And she is just one small example of the 400 plus examples that are this year. And now she's a leader. Now she's one of the ones that coaches talk about. I've had coaches tell me, God, I want Tirza on my team. And in high school you can't trade schools. So it's kind of awesome. She would definitely be a good day. Awesome. And so at the end of the year, when I was able to award her that, I think maybe that whole year kind of was able to show her that, wow, okay, this was something cool for me. And that's, I think, what awards are for. So, yeah, that's a good day. And then, of course, oh gosh, now that I think about that, the Jack Elton Award. If you remember that.
Yeah, I
right?
remember that.
I know that's a whole other story, but man, was that cool. Right?
Yeah, that was. I think that was like the first time I ever saw you like get emotional. Actually, I think the first time I ever saw you get emotional was for Roman.
Yep.
I believe, and he got the most. That was the same year that
the year before.
Yeah.
Or 2 years before.
Oh yeah.
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 Yep. Roman. Gosh, the year after that was. Trying to piece it all together. I don't remember. No, Roman wasn't 2 years before. Roman was the year before.
Yeah.
Yeah, the year prior.
Yeah. I remember because it was the same year I was. I think it was the only year I was really in Jesters, because I didn't know about you guys until my senior year of high school, and I believe he got like the most improved player of the year.
Yep.
Yeah, and he was so ecstatic about that.
He well, Roman now has turned into just a name.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to know what school or whatnot. You just say Roman and you know Roman.
Yep.
And Tirza's kind of doing that now too. And they have very unique names. They're not Mike. You know, they're not Jane. They're Roman and Tirza. So they do have names that stand out, but now they're kind of standing out. And there's a handful of students, like Duke now is kind of in that, winning the MVP last year. I think there are a lot more eyes on him than there were before. But yeah, the emotional side, Jack, like obviously you can kind of say Jack to anyone who knows Jack, and then they go, oh yeah, Jack. But the Jack Elton Award, I think was very fitting. I saw that coming. I saw the Jack Elton Award coming, and I thought if Jack could really win his 5th All-Star like he did last year, that award is hands down something that I need to do, and I was able to do that. So that was really cool to see that crowd give him that response was awesome. So I mean, best year, worst, whatever. Jack was able to perform in 2 championships in his 5 years, which is cool.
That's an accomplishment.
Yeah, and he didn't get to win either of them, but he was able to be there. And and then the 5-year, that's something I didn't even talk about in his 5-year accomplishment. So those are good days.
That's awesome.
Good days on the job.
If you'd like to get into bad days, we can. If not, then we can just wrap things up.
I mean, keep it simple, I guess. You know, I've had 5 students from one particular school over the years that have literally called me, been on the phone with me, found my phone number from somewhere, and it's one particular school, and have said, I want to be a part of this. And something different has happened with all 5 students. Like, all 5 of them had a different fate. But there's a particular teacher at the school who's been around for a long time that just won't talk to me, man. Just won't give me the time of day. And the last interaction I even had with this teacher was, if you try and talk to me again, I'm going to talk to my administration. Like, literally. And that's from an email. You know, that's from emails of just trying to say, hey, look, I've got your students that want to do this. Let me help you. Mm-hmm. And you know, what that really stems to is not understanding third-hand knowledge, like in this case, maybe even 10th-hand knowledge, just things that could be prevented if we as people can just communicate. You know, I've even had it where I've had this probably stems to the exact same effect. I had a teacher that came to a college show years ago that thought it was a high school jester show. And I don't know where, you know, I think I was even at fault for that story, is I think in communication with her, I told her about the college show, and maybe I wasn't clear that it wasn't a high school jester show. And right out of the gate, this particular show, I remember clearly how dirty that show was. Just like the first 2 minutes of that show, like I was watching it. I wasn't even in the show or hosting. I was watching it going, woo! Like, I'm glad this isn't going on TV or the internet. And it was really dirty. And she was there for that. And she didn't make it through the whole show. She ended up leaving. And I don't blame her at all. Yeah. But there was like a 3-year gap after that to where I didn't talk to her. She wouldn't talk to me. Didn't want to talk to me. And I had another teacher that say, hey, maybe you should talk to this teacher, because I don't think she understands you. I'm like, okay, cool. So I was able to talk and have a great conversation with this teacher and just clear up the air, and everything has, honestly, our communication has been in a much better place. And I'm hopeful for that relationship to build so her students can benefit, so that everyone can benefit. Having a school involved not only benefits the students at the school, but it also benefits the entire league, because that's just another group of students that can add to the dynamic and the diversity and helping these students grow. Students now go to these shows not just to learn from being on stage, but to learn from the other students and to make friends and to find people like them. And that's such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And by a teacher not wanting to even figure something out, that's taking away that opportunity from your students. That, I hate to say it, that's selfish. That's awful.
That is.
And we as educators should not want to take that away. I am the first one to say, if you are the star of your play, then be in your play. And if you have time for improv, cool. But if you don't, you got to do your play.
Definitely.
So I'm the first one to build try and keep building. And by me to isolate students and say, no, you only do improv, that's so terrible of me. Or even if you only do improv in Jesters, that's so terrible of me. One of the best relationships I have now is with your old coach, Adam.
Yeah.
Adam, who had been doing improv for such a long time and built really a cool thing. And for us to join forces and be able to do this, like, he is such an asset to us. And just like to where I'm a small fraction of a show, he's a small fraction of what is so much bigger than both of us now. But we are key parts. We need to keep these key parts moving. That teacher that won't talk to me about when I'm talking about the 5 students, I can't wait for the day that we can finally talk, bury whatever the problem is, and allow those students to grow and help the league and help them. So that's a bad day. Yeah. And that's a bad day that just keeps happening. That's years of a bad day. So,
well, sometimes those bad days can eventually turn into good days, like you're talking about. Hopefully that days come and you can talk to that person and get those 5 students on stage, because I'm sure that would mean a lot to them. Well, Kopy, this podcast in my opinion, has been kind of a long time coming, and it's been really great to be able to sit down with you and learn more about this. What really is a fantastic organization and is super beneficial to so many kids and has been for the past 8 years, or just people in general for however long it's been going on. And like I said, a lot of people don't realize just how much it means to be able to go on stage and entertain people and be able to perform and be a part of a show. And before we go, you want to make a connection between improv and wrestling, so go ahead and plug that.
Sure. So I think I watched wrestling as a kid when it was in the boom days, like of the late 80s Ultimate Warrior kind of days.
Yeah.
And I think I was drawn into it because the whole world was. That's when wrestling really got this weird highlight, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then I didn't really stick with it through the whole, like, Attitude Era wrestling kind of stuff. And not because I didn't like it, just for me it didn't connect as much. Like, it was just weird for me. I wanted the epic, big WrestleMania on Hulk Hogan slamming the Giant kind of moments.
Yeah.
And wrestling it took that weird kind of turn. Now I think it's back to that. Now I think wrestling is this huge umbrella. And of course, when you say wrestling, you say WWE.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you think of. And I see improv as having that same opportunity. I think improv, if done correctly, can have a WWE effect.
Definitely.
To where it has so many different things and so many whatever. And I watch wrestling now for the nostalgia and for all the different things that it does. That's what I love, seeing this umbrella of things. And that's what I think Just Serendipity as, is this umbrella of things. Where maybe when I perform personally, let's say it's few and far between, depending on what contracted and gigs I get and whatever. Like, I'm still out there doing the thing.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like when The Undertaker wrestles, or kind of like whatever. Like, it can be this weird kind of thing. And maybe Jesters is I don't know. It's the everyday matches right now that you watch, and the WWE Network. To me, I link the two of them together. It's Jesters is a competition. Whatever. No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not. That's the gimmick that holds it together.
Yeah.
Wrestling, the wrestling in the ring and having proper technique and being able to take a fall and all that kind of stuff, that's the yes and. But really, it's a much bigger thing.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Definitely.
So I think there's such a hand-in-hand with wrestling.
Yeah.
Almost more so than, say, football, where football is a real competition. You got to mentally outsmart the other person. I'd much rather know who you are as my opponent and work together and lay out a lineup. And, I would much rather do that to get the best desired effect and result.
Definitely.
So, to me, when Vince McMahon came out years ago and said wrestling's entertainment, that was the best thing he ever could have done. To where all the diehards from the old day was like, "Rawr!" Like, no.
It's still real to me, damn it.
Right. It's like, no. And true improv diehards, it's not about how funny we can make the scene. Yes, it is. Like, it is. It truly is about getting the most out of a show that you can. Make your audience react. I do agree that if you can make an audience react without it being comical, that, boom, you have the best reaction you can get. But you want...
Just like if you can get an audience off their feet without having to take a fall, then you're good.
Yes.
That's great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, yeah, I think they're two beautiful things. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm Vince McMahon by any stretch.
Yeah.
But I would love to have a conversation with that man.
Yeah. I've definitely, stemming off of that, I think my second podcast ever, I did it with my very first improv coach, which was named Levi Velasquez. And he actually asked me, how do you feel, how has improv kind of transpired into your wrestling career? And it not just my career, but wrestling in general. I've learned I've been doing this, I've been training since I was like 11, and I've been doing it for 5 years now. And I've learned that there's actually a lot more room for improv in wrestling than there is in theater in general. And that's proven by the WWE as recently, especially, for example, Daniel Bryan. The reason he is so popular is because of social media. Social media brought him to the main event of WrestleMania. And that's kind of, it's just like, think about it like for the writers of the show too. Like they have a set thing they want to do, but if the audience thinks differently, it'll change like that. And you have to be adaptable, you have to be able to improvise in situations like that.
The part of why I've gotten so much flack about my style of improv is because I cheat improv. I sell out to the audience. I try and give the audience what they want.
Yeah.
But why do you do that? To give them the best experience, to make them want to come back, to be successful. What's not successful is a troupe that has different ideals and mindsets and wants to put on the best Herald ever. I love long form improv from the deepest part of my improv soul, but a Herald is not going to sell tickets, is not going to make something grow into a WWE.
Yeah.
Who's going to sit down for an hour, right? Daniel Bryan. Why is Daniel Bryan so popular? Is because he can make 70,000 people all yell yes.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And how long does it take to yell yes? A second.
Yeah.
Boom. Done. Can improv be done in a second? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. However, it now, Jesters at least is now in a place to where it can keep growing that way. And it should be advertised, and it should be something that's out there, and it should be something that people can grasp onto. If I was teaching high school heralds, I don't know if it would ever be where it is right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is more important about the experience than it is about the yes and. And for wrestling, how many wrestlers lack skills in certain areas where maybe they're not as good doing promos, or they're better in the ring, or maybe they're great at promos, they're terrible in the ring. Yeah. Like, just how many of those things? And an improv is the exact same way. Everyone has a different skill set to add.
Yeah. Everyone has their strengths, everybody has their weaknesses.
Yes.
Some thrive off their strengths, and they do really good on that. And then there's some that can't do everything, and that's, that they're taking time and training to nitpick that and trying to make it better. And sometimes it doesn't always come to fruition, but they can always focus on their strengths, and they can always work off of that, and they can always go to that. And so that's always good for them.
Yep.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And even the students in high school jesters, they're at the purest form of that, to where they don't even know what they can do yet. So some of them are battling fear of just getting on stage, but there's something they can provide. There's something they can give, and that's useful. And wrestling does that so well. They utilize as much as they can out of everyone they can, and now they need a buttload of it. They need so many. That's why a guy like what's his face, AJ Styles, who was he was an indie whatever, right? He was cool locally or whatever, in smaller markets. Now he's in the WWE because they need that. The WWE needs that guy.
What's cool is now, especially how right now is probably the best time to get into wrestling. If you want to be a wrestler, now is the best time, because Triple H or whoever's running NXT is they're looking at the indies now. They're being like, this guy's good. We need him. Let's bring him in. So that's definitely it's awesome.
I could put these two in a category and talk it for days.
Oh yeah.
Like, to me, they really go hand in hand. So Vince, if you're listening, we need to talk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bring improv to WWE. Anyway, but yeah, we've been talking for quite a while now. It's been a very good talk, very enjoyable time. Thank you very much for joining me on my podcast. Like I said, I really want to do this for a while now, and it's finally happening, so it's pretty great, and I'm glad it's happened. So to end that out, if you are interested, this Saturday at Cimarron High School from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., Jesters Improv, Jesters High School Improv will be providing a day of free improv shows. Come out, enjoy some improv. It's free. You have nothing to lose by just sitting down for maybe an hour and watching these really talented kids and see just what Jesters really is all about.
Or go to the website or to the Facebook and you can see all the dates.
Oh yeah, because the season has started, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to learn more, I just posted a video on my page highlighting what Jesters is all about and the beginning of the new season. That's called Just Getting Started. I put that together in like a week and got no sleep over it. You're very much welcome, Kopy.
Thanks, sir.
Yes. And then also, what is it? Yes, this... I think it's 11th. The 11th. Yeah, February 11th is me and... February 11th is BVW's Aftermath. And so I'll be there defending my belt. And I'll probably keep winning, because that's all I do. And that's tenacious. All right, thank you very much, Kopy. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Bye!